Hello there, and welcome to our discussion on two influential figures who, despite living in different eras, shared a profound vision for freedom and equality: Frederick Douglass and Dr. Myles Munroe. To start, let's reflect on an important truth. He who does not know the history from which he or she was born is to forever remain an infant. Understanding our history and the legacies of those who came before us is crucial to our growth and progress. Frederick Douglass was born in the 19th century, in 1818, into slavery in Maryland, USA. He escaped at the age of 20 and became a leading voice in the abolitionist movement. His life's work unfolded against the backdrop of pre-Civil War America during a time of intense struggle for the abolition of slavery and the subsequent fight for civil rights for African Americans. Dr. Myles Munroe, on the other hand, was born in the Bahamas in the 20th century in 1954. He is a citizen of the Kingdom of God, author, and motivational speaker. Munroe's teachings emerged in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, focusing on spiritual, personal, and leadership development within the framework of Christian theology. Despite their different contexts, Douglass and Munroe address similar themes of freedom and equality, albeit from different angles, physical and spiritual. Frederick Douglass championed the cause of physical freedom and equality. He challenged the oppressive systems rooted in Greek and Roman traditions, which promoted the idea that leadership and governance were reserved for a select few. These systems led to domination and enslavement, creating the world in which Douglass found himself. Through powerful oratory and writing, Douglass fought for the abolition of slavery and the recognition of the inherent leadership and worth of every individual. Dr. Myles Munroe, in contrast, focused on spiritual freedom and the concept that all humans are inherently equal and designed to lead according to God's kingdom principles. Munroe argued that true leadership is divinely ordained for all people, not just a privileged few. He taught that according to Genesis 1:26, all humans are created in God's image with the mandate to have dominion, not over each other, but over the earth's resources. Munroe emphasized that everyone is born to lead, a perspective that starkly contrasts with the hierarchical leadership models inherited from Greek and Roman thought. Douglass worked within the framework of his time to dismantle the oppressive systems that dehumanized African Americans, aiming for societal transformation through abolition and civil rights. He asserted the intrinsic value and dignity of every human being, arguing that slavery and discrimination were fundamentally opposed to the true nature and rights of humans. Munroe, on the other hand, advocated for a transformation based on kingdom principles. He believed that the governance of heaven, marked by justice, equality, and stewardship, should be reflected on earth. Munroe saw this as the ultimate solution to the flaws and failures of human systems. He emphasized that every person has a God-given purpose and potential, and by understanding and living according to kingdom principles, individuals can fulfill their divine purpose and contribute to a just and equitable society. The Greek and Roman systems valued hierarchical leadership and often excluded the majority from positions of power and influence. This philosophy contributed to the structures that supported slavery and other forms of domination. Both Douglass and Munroe opposed these exclusionary systems, but from different angles. Douglass through social and political activism, and Munroe through theological teachings about the kingdom of God. Douglass worked to reform human governance systems to be more just and equitable, aiming for an inclusive society where all could enjoy the rights and freedoms theoretically guaranteed by the nation. Munroe, however, advocated for a higher form of governance the kingdom of God, where God's laws and principles ensure justice, equality, and stewardship. Frederick Douglass and Dr. Myles Munroe, though operating in different centuries and contexts, both pursued the vision of a world where all individuals are recognized as leaders and stewards created in the image of God. Douglas's fight against the physical and systemic chains of his time aligns with Munroe's spiritual call for recognizing and living out the kingdom principles that affirm the equality and leadership potential of every person. Both figures sought to address the fundamental issue of human dignity and worth, challenging the hierarchical systems that sought to limit leadership to a chosen few. They envisioned a world where every individual can fulfill their God-given potential, free from the oppressive structures inherited from historical governance systems. Again, he who does not know the history from which he or she was born is to forever remain an infant. Thank you for joining us at Strictly Kingdom Business in this exploration of the impactful lives and teachings of Frederick Douglass and Dr. Myles Munroe. Their legacies remind us that knowing our history and understanding our divine purpose are crucial steps toward true freedom and equality for all.